Alright, now let's go ahead and create this query part. And what I'm going to have is let's call this something like get movies by director name query probably. And let's do that and get movies by director name query, and that's it. And with that, it's again going to take this let's say I request of, and that is going to take your let's say I enumerable of movie response itself, because this there's going to be a multiple responses for that. And of course this is going to need director name, so let's create one prop with a string type director name itself. And once we have this, what we can do is let's have this injected from constructor itself, so that we can have this property available there when we are going to use this. And we are going to just say this director name equals this director name, and that's it. Now let's go ahead and implement its handler. And when we go to this handler itself, right, so this is again going to be a simpler case, and that is going to be, let's call this get movie by director name query handler, or by director name handler itself. So let's call this, let's copy this, let's go to this handler segment and let's add this class here, and let's director name handler itself. Now once we have this, so what we can do here is I can simply come to here, I can say I request handler, which is going to take your query itself. First of all, get movies by director name query itself, and now its response is going to be I enumerable of movie response itself, which is this one, right? And once this is there, we can simply inject this, right, implement missing members. And now we can, of course, we are going to need this constructor wherein our movie repository needs to be injected. So for that, what we are going to need is iMovie, let's say repository, and let's have this movie repository. It should be giving, and once it is there, we can have some field created, or the private field rather created over here. And now with that inclusion in place, what I can do is I can just go ahead and then complete this template, right? So this is the basic template for for any mediator pattern here. So that's what we are trying to achieve here, and following the same pattern across, right? So let's say you guys want to extend this further, so you just need to apply the same pattern for any command or query itself. So we can just have this movie list and await for this movie repository, and with that we are just going to check with that get movies by director name, take this, and then we are just going to say this request, and we can just take that request, let's let it come, and then director name itself. So yeah, so this is the director name, so that is what we are going to apply here. So let's take this director name, and so that what complete our template. Now let's get the response itself, and let's say movie response list, movie response, and I think response list equals await, or before that we need to not await here, basically we need to map here, right? Movie mapper dot mapper, and we need to map with our what we are going to need here is I enumerable of, and that is going to be your movie response itself, right? And now this movie response is going to take the input as movie list, right? And because we are ultimately going to return this movie response, and that's what is happening here. And why is this guy I think there is one angle bracket missing here, and now is this fine? Right, take this here. Now this looks okay. Now return this movie response list. All right, so now we are fine with this CQRS pattern, wherein we are also done with this application layer. Now the piece which is going to be implementing next is like the API layer itself, and that is going to be the orchestrator part of this, that is going to derive this entire scenario, because that is going to decide like which should be receiving that command section, and which part should be receiving that the query section. So that's the decider part, so let's do that next.